put the URL and just keep everything in the cache. I mean, keep those settings in the cache. So just for good measure, clear the history and restart the MySQL service when you modify a setting in the configuration file. So I'm going to go to phpMyAdmin, and there it is. Cookies must be enabled past this point. We have a cookie authentication service, and the default username is root, but I didn't configure any password, so it shouldn't have any password. Here I will change the password, and I'm going to type it, and I'm going to go. There it is. The password has been updated, and I'm going to exit. And now if I enter my password, I should be able to log in with my newly inserted password. So I'm 100% fine. I have the most powerful user, root, which has a password, but that's not the way you want to do it. You never want to deal with root. I mean, with root, you can do anything. You can destroy everything you want. You can create everything you want, but you can also destroy. So therefore, I'm going to go to privileges, and I'm going to create another user. And this user, let's call it JME. That's because this is also the name that you will see in the see privileges and user JME. This is also the user that you will see in the written tutorials. So localhost password, I'm just going to type an easy to remember password, and this is really important. Create database with same name and grant all privileges. Go. So basically I have created a new user, JME, and I have associated him a database. As you can see here on the left, it's empty, but so the user, this user JME, so I can log in as JME actually, JME, and put my password. He only has access to the JME database, and that's it. And he can do whatever he wants here, but he cannot mess with other people's databases, other people's projects. So he is only limited to the JME database. And you have to remember this username and password because you will use them later in setting up Joomla. So we are actually reaching the interesting part, which is installing Joomla. We have configured a web server. We have configured a MySQL server. So we have seen also how the file system to web server mapping works. So probably we are going to now copy everything on the web server in the Joomla directory. And in order to download Joomla, you have here a nice link, a nice direct link in the written tutorial. So you can go over here, and there it is. Now I have already cheated, so I have the file here. This is trickier. I mean, you don't have an executable. I mean, how do you launch an executable on a Linux server or whatever? I mean, it doesn't work that way. So you have to copy all the files to unpack them on the web server. Now this can be done through a FTP from a remote computer if you already have access with to a web server running Apache, running MySQL, running Joomla. If it doesn't run Joomla, just go to the htdocs or public HTML, whatever the name convention on that server is, and install all these directories. So from this point on, we are done with the administrative part. So this part, whatever you saw me doing here, should have been done by a network administrator, and these things are so common. Every network administrator does them. It's no rocket science. Now, the next part, you should actually be really familiar with it. So we are going to go now on the web server in our Joomla folder called host Joomla. And now we don't see that empty directory, but we see a nice Joomla installation. So this reminds us this neat interface of an executable file, doesn't it? So next. Now, this is really important. All these things here should be green. So they're green, we are good. These are the critical settings. If they aren't green, just send me an email because you're in big trouble. You might have uh, done some, I don't know, errors in the previous steps, although I doubt it. Just give me an email. Here, if you have configured the Apache web server correctly, and if you have configured the phpMyAdmin interface correctly, so basically the single two configuration steps previously, everything should be green except this guy over here, which doesn't really matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter for the purpose of this application. So if you have another thing red except this one, also make sure you send me an email in order to be able to debug and see what error have you made. But since, I mean, this is also stated in the written tutorial. So if you click next, then you go ahead and read the license. It's actually very useful. The GNU General Public License, all the software I use in my extension is also GNU General Public License, and I'm sure the end product will also be a form of GPL. So after you read the license, make sure you click next. So you need to remember here the username we have set up for the database. So JME password, the password you have entered, and the database name has exactly the same name as the user. Now it's really important here to have exactly this table prefix JOS. I've done some experimental things with my extension, so for the time being, it's good to have JOS. I mean, some things might not work, but we can change that. But just for the time being, keep it JOS, and I put it in red. I think this requirement is here somewhere. Yes. Okay, so next. Takes a while to set up the database, but at the end of this process, we should see a happy step 5. So FTP configuration, that doesn't matter at all. So just leave the default settings. Now site name, I'm just going to call that JME non-critical, your email non-critical.com. Now the admin password is the thing that is critical. This is what you will be using to play, so to say, with the JME and to play with Joomla in general. So make sure you remember this password, and I'm just going to set a highly secure password of 4 characters. Now this button here is tricky. If this is your first time you're doing this exercise, make sure you don't push install sample that. I mean, technically it does nothing, but if it's your first time running Joomla, then you'll be confused by the amount of content and you won't be able to figure out the where the things are that I am describing in the next steps. So it's better not to push it. It keeps things simple and clear. So next, we are done. And please remember to complete the installation directory. Basically, if your installation directory is not deleted, then somebody could just hack into your Joomla website. So just click here, remove installation folder, and everything should be just fine. Installation folder successfully removed. So we can go ahead, ignore this URL, and go to localhost Joomla and see what we get. Now, this is the front end website. This is what users see. This is where all the good stuff happens. But in order to insert content in here, you need to have another tab. So I'm just going to put this first, just because the data flow is like this. So localhost Joomla, and afterwards admin illustrator. Okay, so this is the front end. This is what the user see. So this is where we have visibility, and this is where the actual work is done. So username admin. Hope you didn't forget the password. So login. So this is the backend. So just to give you an insight into Joomla, I'm just going to keep these three tabs. Remember, this is backend, this is front end, and this is the database. So these three tabs are going to be forever here. And I highly suggest that you work with this methodology also. So just to give you an idea about how Joomla works, a really quick introduction if you haven't um, experienced Joomla before. For example, you can go to content, article manager, add new article. So most content it's added in the form of articles, and I'm just going to be consistent and name it hello world, and I will write here hello world. I know it's not very imaginative, but it does the job, and I'm just going to save and close. Now I have the article manager, and I have basically all the content listed in a table. Now, in order to access this content, I need a menu link to it. So I will go to menus, main menu, add new menu item in the main menu, and I need to define here the menu item type. Now, this can be really confusing, but remember what we did. We created an article. So I'm just going to make this link point to a single article. And guess what? Some nice options appeared in the right where they tell me to select article. And I'm just going to select hello world. So everything is updated here. Menu location, main menu. You only need to worry about the stars, about the orange stars. Those are the only important parameters. So I'm going to put, yes, guess what? Hello world again. And save and close. So what I did, I created an article and a menu item linking to that article. So if I refresh here the front end interface, I will get main menu, home, and hello world, and I'll get the nice article hello world. So this is the title. These are some parameters which I can get rid of, but this is not our purpose. And this is the text that I have written in the backend interface. So this is basically how Joomla works. You define content here and it appears, and you also describe how you want it to appear and it appears here. As you can see, you can do everything by clicks. You don't need to know HTML, you don't need to know programming. It's very straightforward and you have a lot of freedom. There are a lot of extensions that you can install and you can have in the same website, a blog, a forum, an e-commerce website. You can do whatever you want. The sky is the limit. Everything is one browse away. But I'm not going to tell you how cool Joomla is. I'm instead going to tell you how cool my Joomla measurement extension is. So hello world, we have gone through everything. And there it is. This table is really important. Joomla backend, Joomla frontend, database, and YouTube tutorials. You should have these 4 tabs. So I could open here another tab with my YouTube tutorials. You should have these 3 tabs for at all time. And we can go to the nice part, which is installing the Joomla measurement extension. So let's see how things are done. Basically, up to this point, it wasn't your job. It should be already readily available. This is so common, so many people do it that, I mean, Joomla is the most popular content management system for PHP, basically the most popular content management system on the web. So this is not very uncommon. Now, you need to install my measurement extension from computer, think F, Joomla measurement extension, files, and you get here the JME. So I'm not sure if it's 100% viable, but we will see. Upload and install. Yes, it is. Installing component was successful. Thank you for installing the IEEE measurement extension. Now we need to create, remember how we added that content, that article. We need to create